For this trip through the alphabet, we must travel to the mysterious land of Canada. We all know some very interesting, wonderful, and mysterious creatures from this land. And this one is the ogopogo. And for this, we must travel all the way to British Columbia. As early as the 1700s, the Okenogen native tribes knew of a water beast living in what is today known as Lake Okanagan. They called the creature Nahatik, meaning snake of the water, or water demon. And their native superstitions demanded certain traditions before entering Nahatik's domain. One of the traditions was apparently the ritual sacrifice of a small animal as a piece of offering before crossing the lake. Tying their horses behind their canoes, they would paddle out to where they believed the serpent lived, in a cave beneath the water, and make their offering, thus ensuring that their horses would not be dragged under and drowned by the monster. Early area settlers also reported sightings of Nahaatilik as they patrolled the shores to protect their families. In 1890, Captain Thomas Shorts was steaming on the lake when he saw a finned creature about 16 feet long with the head like that of a ram. The creature promptly disappeared when he turned his ship in that direction, and virtually no one believed him when he reported it. But other reports soon followed at 2 or 3 a year, and people began to examine the lake in more careful detail. The local population fervently believed in the creature's existence. They called it Ogopogo, and named the island Ogopogo Island, where it later became officially known as Rattlesnake Island. In 1914, a group of Nicola Valley and West Bank Native Americans discovered a strange carcass near Rattlesnake Island. The carcass weighed in at 400 pounds and was between 5 and 6 feet long. It was bluish-gray in color. It had flippers and a tail. Most people believe this carcass was a manatee, although it is unclear how a manatee could have gotten into Lake Okanagan. A small sect of people supported this idea that the carcass belonged to Ogopogo and the beast's long neck had been detached as the carcass decomposed. In 1926, 30 cars full of people on the shore of the lake witnessed something that would haunt them for the rest of their lives. A series of huge serpentine humps rose and fell through the calm lake waters, cutting a large wake behind them. All the witnesses agreed that the humps must belong to the lake's resident monster, Ogopogo, making this one of the most credible monster sightings ever documented. Some scientists believe that the Lake Okanagan resident must be from a form of primitive whale, Basilosaurus, a prehistoric whale that lived during the Cenozoic era about 35 million years ago. The general appearance of Basilosaurus tallies almost exactly with the log-like descriptions of the creature known locally today as Ogopogo. In 1968, a video of an animal is moving across the lake, leaving behind a tremendous wake. In 2011, another video was made. This video shows another large wake moving across the lake. Photographs of Ogopogo turn up on a regular basis, including 1964, 76, 78, 79, 81, and 84. These photos show either a large wake or a series of low, broken humps in the water. In total, over 200 eyewitness accounts have bolstered Ogopogo's lore. These accounts often find their way into local newspapers, where they become immortal pieces of this legend. Though the Nahatik of the Okanagan Valley Indians is now long gone, it has been replaced with a decidedly less fearsome and more biologically looking beast, whose exact form is a matter of opinion and debate. Some say the skin is described as dark green, green-black, black, brown, or dark brown, or gray-blue, blue-black, or even golden-brown. Most often the skin is smooth with no scales, although sometimes you can see plates, scales, or similar structures. Most of the back is smooth, although a portion is saw-toothed, ragged-edged, or serrated. It could have hair, no hair, a little around the head like a mane, or a comb-like structure around the back of the neck. The head is said to look like a snake, a sheep, a horse, or an alligator, and sometimes even a bulldog. Sometimes it has ears or horns, other times it doesn't. In 1991, an underwater expedition surveyed the depths of Lake Okenogen with a remotely operated vehicle and a miniature submarine. Despite probing as deep as 840 feet, no evidence of ogopogo turned up. And there was also featured ogopogo in a TV show in 2005 on the National Geographic TV show, Is It Real? And they never found anything there either. Any body of water in First Nations culture can, and often did, generate these stories to explain supernatural phenomena, such as storms, winds, and so on. The stories of Nahatik are virtually identical to those in many other North American lakes, including Ontario and Superior, and including Niagara Falls. Nahatik paranormal connection to the elements is perhaps the strongest of any lake monster. It doesn't seem to have a supernatural control over the lake's waters, but it commands aerial forces. The Indians said no boat could possibly land on Rattlesnake Island, for a monster would cause strong winds to blow and baffle the attempt. It would use its mighty tail to lash the lake's waters into a fierce storm that would drown its victims. The white settlers apparently followed the Indians' warnings, yet white men also lapsed at times and had to be reminded of the wrath of Nahatik could wreak. In about 1855, a settler named John McDougall is said to have neglected his sacrifice offering to Ogopogo while crossing the lake with a team of horses. A great force sucked the steeds down with a tremendous slurp. McDougall was terrified, but even more so when he realized that his canoe, lashed to those horses, was about to be pulled down into the water as well. He cut the ropes and narrowly escaped with his life. Nahatik variously translates as water demon or lake monster. It would demand a toll from the travelers for safe passage. The fee was not just a bag of gold or tobacco, but a sacrifice, a live sacrifice. Hundreds of years ago, whenever the Indians would venture into the lake, they would bring chickens or other small animals to just drop into the water. The drowned fowl would sink into the lake's depths and assure its owners a protected journey. The island's rocky shore was said to be littered with the gory remains of passersby who did not make this sacrifice. According to some traditions, Ogopogo's history dates back to even before it was known as Nahatik. In fact, Nahatik was actually a murderer named Kel-Oniwan. Kel-Oniwan murdered a vulnerable old man with a club. The gods decided that the killer's punishment was to change Kel-Oniwan into a lake serpent, a restless creature who would forever be the scene of a crime where he could continue to suffer remorse. He was left in the custody of the beautiful Indian lake goddess and was known to the tribesmen as Nahatik, the remorseful one who must live in the lake with the company of other animals. It is said that the only animal who could tolerate his company was the rattlesnake, which is why he dwells on Rattlesnake Island. There is at least 3 crude pictographs on rocks around the lake, now in extremely poor state, which can be related to an alleged lake monster. Yet the petroglyphs suggest the Ogopogo depictions are dubious for exactly these reasons. The petroglyph most often cited is in fact not from Okanagan Valley at all, but from Sirote Lake on Vancouver Island. But if you're worried about a souvenir of Ogopogo, don't worry. A third and cultural Ogopogo exists, not of native lore, nor of a legend of a murderer who was cursed, but a regional mascot and hero, a cuddly bringer of cheer and love. Long gone are the echoes of sacrifice and drowning and bone-strewn beaches. Nicknamed Ogie, or Augie, this Ogopogo was sometimes dragon-like, complete with wings and scales and an elongated body formed at the distinctive series of humps. Countless tourist items feature t-shirts, coffee mugs, keychains, bumper stickers, downtown city sports teams, tour groups, even Featured in a Scooby-Doo cartoon, a Nancy Drew book, the Final Fantasy video game series, and a Canadian postage stamp. Skeptics note that Lake Okenogen is full of wildlife and logs, which are floated across the lake by local timber industry. Any of these objects could appear monstrous if they were seen from the wrong side. Believers usually assert that ogopogo is a member of a species that was previously believed to be extinct. Many believers think that he could be a basilosaurus or a primitive serpentine whale like a plesiosaur. But until and unless the beast is captured or identified, ogopogo will surely be on one part god, one part demon, and one part pulp culture. What do you think about ogopogo? Is he real? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and always remember to forge your own path.